Hey, everybody. I hope that you all are doing well. Welcome back to another installment of Between Sundays, your number one place where we have a conversation and we talk real, because life can get very loud in between those sermons from Sunday to Sunday. So, we're here to talk about all the things that may not come up from the pulpit, but we will encounter in our lives. As you're coming in, go ahead and like this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, get on over there to YouTube and subscribe. And then we also want you to hit that notification bell so you know every time that we're going live. Super excited about what we're going to be doing on tonight. Say hello as you come into the comments. I am overly ready for this conversation on tonight. And we got some people that are going to keep it righteous, but also keep it very real. We are talking about on this evening flirting and feelings. And so we're talking about Christian dating. I'm telling y'all, I'm so happy that I am not in the community pool anymore. I have moved to the bigger ocean and I'm about to have my own pool in my backyard because of this right here. But let me tell you, as a 39-year-old dating and trying to do that righteously, there are several things that come up. So we're going to have a good old conversation on tonight. I've got two amazing folks that are joining me on this evening. Around here, ladies are first. And so I want to bring to the virtual couch, Andrea. So excited to have you, Andrea. For those of you that don't know, she is one of the fearless leaders of SOAR, which is Singles on a Rise. And that group focus on just the totality of wholeness in your singleness. Andrea, how are you doing tonight?
I'm so great. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, super excited. And y'all, let me tell you, I am bringing Mr. Party in a bag himself to the virtual couch. Let me tell you, he and I have a good time cutting up in church. And you might see us cut up outside of church. Let me tell you, he made sure my 35th birthday party was a good old time in the middle of COVID. I don't know if he remembers that or not. Him and some other folks. But I'm bringing my brother LJ Lamont to the stage. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
How are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing
That's
well.
good. That is good. All right. So I ask you all to come and join me here in this space so that we can have a good old dialogue, a good old kiki very quickly. We're not going to be long, but we're going to be strong. Um, to talk a little bit around this concept of Christian dating. I know we've got lots of commentary within the social media streets, but I don't know if we've got spaces really curated in Christendom to have real conversations about what comes along when you're dating. I know for me, what nobody ever talked about is how to maintain yourself when maybe you've been out there in other waters, or how to feel good about that, or really how to focus on becoming the right person and not just looking for the right one. So I want to start off with this question. What's one dating myth that you believe when you were younger that now you feel like you've outgrown? I'm curious.
What you say, Andrea?
I said, ooh.
What do you all think?
I know for me, pardon me, unless Andrea, you want to go first, I would definitely yield to you.
You got it. I'm listening.
Okay. So one thing that I believed, and it was like duly taught actually in my church when I actually think about it, was the fact that there was a soulmate. So that
Ooh.
used to stress me out because I'm like, you expect me to find one woman out of 6 billion people, be in the right place at the right time, do the right things, and not mess up. And if I do, I'm doomed. Like, that's the only one. That's all. That's one and done. And if you mess it up, it's nothing else. So the idea of a soulmate was definitely a myth that was dispelled for me. I do believe that there are souls that you encounter definitely at a much higher level. And if we want to put it in terminology of, oh my, I met my soulmate, but I believe it's several. Thank God, I believe it's more than one that you probably could encounter in this life that you will have that type of experience with.
Oh, I love that. All right. Andrea, what do you think? What's one myth about dating that maybe you had when you were younger that you're like, I don't have now?
Um, I think I'm gonna go past dating, like into marriage,
Okay.
I used to think that marriage was a reward and being single was a punishment.
That is a good one. That
Um,
is a good one.
but now I understand that there's also, purpose in singleness.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And I want to piggyback on what both of you all said. I think for me, with marriage being kind of the reward or the goal, I
Mhm.
think that definitely was a thing. I remember when I started off dating, and y'all know I'm gonna keep it 100% real. It would be every time when I first started dating, it was like, are you my husband? Are you my husband? Are you my husband? That I missed out in the early phases of dating, just the joy of getting to know a person versus trying to evaluate if they are going to be my potential spouse. And so I'm going to give you all a tip that they don't tell you from the pulpit. Y'all go on some dates. Like, dating is a thing. I know you want to stay home, and they don't have to be your husband. You could find out, or wife, or in between, who knows who might be watching, but they don't have to be your husband or your wife, or they don't have to be a situationship. I think sometimes in dating it's good, and I do encourage it for Christians. That doesn't mean float yourself all around the place. Y'all get what I'm saying? But I
Mhm.
do think it's important to just mix and mingle with people and figure out who they are as an individual without looking at them like, do you have to be, to Lamont's point, my quote unquote soulmate? No, you just somebody that I like to eat fries with, and you might be of the other gender. Let's do that 2 times a week, and that might be great too.
I think the culture around that has changed though. I think back when I was coming up, I'm a little older than y'all. If you were floating around in a church like that, you were looked at as being, kind of like the scarlet letter, or don't mess with that one, or kind of out there. So the fact that we are even introducing that in this time is so far from the way that I was raised. It's crazy. Like, I've seen the transition definitely in the church, or maybe the people like us that are younger in the church that say, it got to be a little more than this, that we started challenging the status quo. But I've seen that change over my lifetime. Like, and the narrative go from, hey, maybe not do this, to y'all definitely should do this. You definitely should get to know more than one person, and date faith-based dating, as you call it.
Right, right.
Yeah,
And when I say float, don't float your body all over the place, saints.
yeah, no,
I do think,
dating,
right, but I do think like having outings and not making it a thing. And
yeah.
I think I would love your perspective on this, LJ. As a man, I feel bad for the men because I feel like it's hard for them to even approach a woman just to say, let me know more than about your name, without them thinking, hey, I want something more. Do you feel like for the men it's a little harder to get to know women without the pressure of them desiring something more?
There is intense pressure. I think, when a man is definitely trying to find his wife, we don't really get the opportunity to find. Like, you approach a woman, and if you say, "Hey, I want to get to know you," immediately, she praying over you after, 3 times on the phone, she naming y'all kids, and I'm talking to the Lord about you in prayer. And it's that pressure that pushes a lot of us away, because I just got to know your name like 30 days ago, and you already naming our kids. And I understand why women will want to lock a brother down, especially if he following God. There's not many of us out there. Women been holding up the church
Yeah.
forever, right? So I get it, and it's definitely a drought, but it is intense pressure to approach a woman in that facet. And to your point, I think the best way to do so is in group dating, like group outings. As you remember, like, we used to go on group outings a lot, and you may find your mate in that circle. You know what I'm saying? It's a little safer, and it's more friendship based, as opposed to you just approaching one woman and just trying to get to know her.
Yeah,
There is a lot of pressure, yeah, for sure.
yeah. Look at my fiance in the comment trying to supplement. For the record, I did not pray over him. If anything, I was like, I'm just here for the food, bruh. Like, just a good dinner date for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Andrea, from your point of view as a woman, do you feel like there's pressure as women, especially those that are Christian, to be like, hurry up and get married? Just the counterpart of that?
Yes. I do, because like if you're not married by a certain age, then people think there's something wrong with you, like you might be gay, like you just out here or somewhere, but it's not where people think you should be by a certain time. And so it's hard to navigate, and social media doesn't help at all.
No,
What
it
would you
doesn't.
what would you say the age is for women? Like when y'all see it and they want I say a woman is at this age, like people starting to look like, what is that age for y'all?
I'm gonna tell you what was told to me, but I want
Okay.
Andre to jump in first.
I would say anything past like 34, 35. And
Girl, that's
You said you said 34, 35.
yeah, like in my head, in my mind, and maybe because that's just like personal, but um, like my goal was to be married by 26, and
Oh, I'm having connection issues.
right,
Hold
but
up.
but I know now like I wasn't ready, but like if you're approaching 40, then you start being looked at kind of different.
This is so funny, LJ, that you asked about age. I'm going to give y'all a real story. My best friend, Alfred Bernard Hart, was on here a couple of weeks ago, and him and one of his cousins, I have a lot of male friends. When I was turning 30, they told me this, and this is a direct quote. They said, Yolanda, you're a decent looking woman with no kids, a good job. If you are not married by the time you're 30, 31, men are going to mark you as crazy because something has to be wrong with you if you've not been snatched up. So y'all, I spent all of my like 30, 31, like borderline about to, be thought out here in these streets because I was like, I'm not married and I don't want somebody to think I'm crazy. But I think you bring up a good point. I feel like women feel like there's this pressure even either because of their own biological clock
Yeah.
or men making crazy statements like my friends. But I don't feel like men ever get this pressure at a certain age to be married by. It's like, bro, do it whenever you feel.
Men, the pressure for men is you start getting questioned if you don't have kids, and that's ironic.
Ooh,
Wow.
That's ironic for the church because you don't get
Wow.
questioned if you're not in a viable marriage, but you do get questioned if you don't have children. So then
wow.
it's like, are you gay? Are you this and are you that? So I definitely think it's a little different, but men do start getting questioned after a certain time. Like, why aren't you? You know what I'm saying? If you're not married, and if it's not you know LGBT, or if you're not something like that, but if it is that you just like really been waiting, like that's so rare. Like women, like sometimes when I talk to women and they ask me about my life and I say yeah, and I'm just and I start describing this old school love, this traditional love that I want, this love that I saw my parents who to next year they celebrating 50. That's what I was reared in. So that's what I'm bringing to the table. That's what I'm offering. But I feel like women of this generation have been so skewed by social media and what they see. When a man brings that those old school values, it feels so rare, it feels so off that they start to question if it's actually genuine, authentic.
Mm-hmm.
But there are men out here that are still after God's heart that still want to please God, and they do exist because if they don't exist, who's the God you've been serving all this time?
I can't throw something at you, but talk. That is so good. And that is so true. Because the notion that I hate right now is this phrase, especially amongst believers. If you're not a believer, say what you want. But I cringe. And it's more women than men. Men say it sometimes. But when people say there's pee in the pool, and I love to say, no, you just haven't learned to swim in the ocean. Like if
Yeah,
you keep going to a pool with pee in it, it's not the
yeah.
pool anymore. It's you, sis. Like, why do you keep circulating the same 5 men in your community instead of moving to a different state or city to maybe try out the pool over there? Like, is it just me? But I feel like
I,
people
I
talk about the men that they want to date. I get it's bad, but like, is it really that bad?
I feel like if you expand the notion of what the pool could be, you will have more options. You
Ooh,
have you have women who are stuck on, and my thing that I get on social media and joke about is the short brothers, right? But
yeah,
you have women that will automatically disqualify a brother if he's a certain height. You've already wiped away a huge population of
exactly.
good men that could be great for you. So you've already narrowed your choices right there. Now the pool is getting now I guess you can it's a little more pee because the pool is smaller. But if you challenge these things that you were reared in, stuff that you heard your mom and your aunties, the videos, TV, social media tell you what qualifies as a good man. If you challenge that within yourself, I guarantee you probably will find other options.
That is so good because I be confused as a woman that's 5'8", almost 5'9". When these 5'2" women talk about they want somebody 6'3", ma'am, get you somebody 5'4" or 5'6". He is still taller than you. Like, what is happening in these streets? Okay, so
Yeah.
let me throw this to you, Andrea, based on what LJ just said.
Uh-huh.
Do you feel like women have lists that disqualify qualified men? And if yes, why do you think they're still holding on to these lists?
Do I think women still have a list? Yes.
Mhm. Okay. Why do you think they're still holding on to these lists?
Maybe because I haven't experienced anything different. And two, I think the list kind of keeps them secure, like in a place that keeps them, comfortable. That maybe won't allow them to go beyond what they have on paper.
That's interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot. If what God had for you was packaged in a 5'4" body, would you be open to that? I'm just
You know,
asking because you're a pretty woman and somebody gonna hit my DMs asking me these questions. So I'm just wondering because I feel like we be believing God that He's gonna do it, and then we be like, but no, God, don't do it that way. Do it this particular way. And I'm using you as an example, not to put you on the spot. So
yeah, yeah.
don't answer that question. But like I feel like we try to tell God what we want in what package we want versus God, you know what's best for me and help me to be open. Like I just do we have biases unconsciously?
Yes. And I say that because, like, as you ask the question, I've had that conversation. I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Because I love my shoes and I don't want to get rid of my shoes for nobody. Oh my God. Oh, goodness.
You don't have to. Wait a minute, y'all. I watch Real Housewives a little bit, and Mia Thornton is like tall as all day, and she is with Ink. Girl, the way she just take pictures with him, and she's back here and he's up here. Girl, I think we'll be working for the two of them, and I'd be so excited. She'd be like, "I don't care. I'm gonna wear my shoes, and I'm gonna position this camera right."
I do want to say this though to the women who may be possibly toying with the idea of stepping outside what they're used to or their comfort zone. All through Scripture, God did the unorthodox. God used the person who had the stutter. He used the smallest person in the camp. He always used and moved outside of the box and got some of the greatest results. So, like, what would happen if some of y'all would just jump out your box for a little bit, just for a second? You might get great results. You just never know. That's the kind of God that we're connected to. She jumped out the box. You know what I'm saying? So,
I said
I
way out the box.
and to be fair, you said what?
I said way out the box. Oh yeah, and it's the best
Yeah.
thing.
And to be fair, men, we have lists too. We have lists. But our lists sometimes they not as itemized or thrown out there. Men just want to feel when we come home to whoever she is, we come to peace.
Mm.
And that peace could include you having like, oh, I was thinking about you, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like being the antiquated roles of what a woman was, but I'm just saying we gotta fight so much out there as men. And I'm only speaking from our gender. We gotta fight so much as men and definitely as black men, especially in this culture. So if I'm
Mhm.
out here fighting the boss, fighting the authorities, fighting this, fighting this, fighting ideologies about me, and then I come home and I still gotta fight,
Yeah,
our list really kind of narrows down to us having peace where we are, for real. And that
Yeah.
peace could include you doing things for us, like attending to our love language, whether, acts of service, whatever it is, but that peace is paramount.
Lamont, I'm gonna have to bring you back for a second part because I know you got to run, but I agree with that. So yes, and I want to challenge that notion because there are some peaceful women in the church that love Jesus, but it's not until Big Booty Judy run up in that church, fresh off the pole and at the altar, she gets married in 2.2 days when moderate Booty Judy is sitting beside you at church, full of God's peace and can't even get a wink. And so I want to balance that because I know both women and men will say, well, I'm open, but I think sometimes, and it could be the culture, sometimes the appearance can be what we say we want, particularly in the church, is not what we end up getting aesthetically on the outside. Because I'm now hearing people say, I'm not marrying for men, I'm not doing this. And they seem to hop. I'm going to say what some of the women are not saying. They're hopping over godly women to get a newly modified godly woman. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a nice way of putting it. And so I question, like, is it really about peace, or do you want peace and also something to put your cup and your water on? Like, and how do we balance that
Yeah.
kind of too? Y'all, we're gonna keep the conversation going. I know our brother has to jump off of here, but y'all put in the comments if y'all want him back. I feel like there's so much more he could give. We need a part two with our brother on here.
I appreciate y'all. I apologize for any connection issues. You know, I'm traveling tomorrow. I'm trying to get on these stages and entertain people some other day. So I apologize, y'all, but it was a pleasure having this conversation. Andrea, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you
Pastor
too.
Elon, thank you for inviting me.
Oh yeah, we definitely inviting you back. Thanks, bruh. So we're going to keep the conversation going because I think what Lamont said, and I'm going to piggyback on what we are just talking about. And
Mhm.
Andrea, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you get the feeling, or have you heard from single women that, again, we're talking about what we don't say between Sundays? I
Yeah.
know for me in my singleness, there was a point where I was like, God, I believe that you're going to do it. But when I look around, like, I'm like, okay, I'm over here in the back. And I would see people that were newly saved that maybe were out there, and
Yeah.
good, godly, righteous men would seem to hop over all Have you ever encountered that? Or do you know women in the faith who are like, it seems like everybody else is being picked or selected and I'm looked over? And I'm just want to talk about that real feeling.
Yes. I so I've experienced that. For a long time. And I also know, women who've experienced that as well. And it is disappointing to an extent. And unfortunately, like you kind of get used to the disappointment.
Mm,
Um, but at the same time, one of the things that I keep telling myself, that one of my spiritual mom told me, it was like, no good thing, will the Lord withhold from you, from them that walk upright. And I have to remember that, because otherwise I'm just like, Lord, like, forget it. Like there comes a time where, like, sometimes I'll have the conversation with myself, like, well, Lord, like, maybe this is not for me. Maybe, like, a relationship or marriage is not for me. Um, like, I literally just had a conversation with my sister the other day. It was like, "Is something wrong with me?"
mm. And
You
there's
know,
not.
that's a conversation. Thank you. That's a conversation that we have, like, between Sundays. Is, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, I think that's so real and so true. Um, and I can talk about this because it's just the women now. And like I said, we are going to do a part two, y'all, and get Lamont back. We're going to get our brother because I want to hear this. I think that sometimes men and women are reared so differently. Men are reared in such a way, and I'm speaking in generalities, where it's
Mhm.
like, go out, do all of the things, and while marriage might be a goal on the list, it's not the goal. And I think, especially in Western and even in non-Westernized societies, women are reared from the moment of birth. The
Yeah.
dolls, we're playing house,
Yeah.
we're figuring out, like, we have been psychologically programmed that marriage is, quote unquote, the prize at the end. And I think that we're not having as real enough a conversation, and we're putting, unfortunately, on top of it, that a lot of women are not talking about their disappointment with God or their disappointment within themselves, because they're looking like, I want to be a wife, I
Yeah.
want to be a mother, maybe in the context of a marriage, and it's not coming. So how do I deal with that disappointment? I'm quoting these scriptures, I'm believing, but I don't see the manifestation of that. Somebody give me some practical ways to deal with that disappointment if I've been at this for, a
Yeah.
while. And that's a real feeling from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let
Yeah.
me ask you this, because we're talking about flirting and feelings. Talk
Okay.
to me a little bit about how do you discern between chemistry and compatibility? Is that the same to you, or do you see that as a little bit different?
I see them different. They can look the same. But I think chemistry and compatibility is different. Chemistry can change, right? Like, and I'm gonna just go scientific for just a
I
moment.
love
You know, it's my nature. But chemistry, so it's a mixture of things to get a reaction.
it. Mm,
So you can add something to it, you can take away something from it, and if you add something to it to take away something from it, you get a different result. Versus compatibility, that speaks to the core of who you are. Um, it is external, but it's also internal. And
mm,
so when you find somebody that you're compatible with, it's in season and out of season. You know, like you find somebody to stick with you through the good, bad, ugly, indifferent, and they, love who you are, the core of who you are, like your beliefs, like your, just like the soul of who you are.
hmm.
You don't have to change, and if you do change, they still love you.
Yeah. I think that is so good. I love what you said, even from the scientific view about chemistry is mixing things to get a reaction. And I love that definition. I'm gonna start using it. I will give you your credit because I think a lot of people are looking for quote unquote chemistry
Yeah,
more than they're seeking compatibility. And I think if you're just looking for a spark or some reaction, and that's not to say you should not have attraction. I want to be very clear about this. You should be attracted to the person that you are with. We are not encouraging you to be with someone as a martyr
for
just
sure.
because it's like, oh, I gotta be with them because of purpose, but I'm not attracted to them. Like, let's debunk that, especially within the body of Christ. But I think what you mentioned about compatibility, when you said about it being in season and out of season, is so important because with that, you're talking about someone who is fashion to complement you, not
Like,
be the same, but to complement you, complement your purpose. And I want to take this a little bit further. I think it's hard for people to find compatibility when they don't know themselves. I'm always backing into a point.
yes.
I think it's hard for you to know who you're compatible with if you've never spent time with yourself
Yeah.
intensely. Like, what are the good parts about me? What are the not so good parts about me? How do I align or refashion those things that I really need God and other people to buff it out of me? And I think that helps you figure out what would be compatible with you versus you just saying, oh, I was with them and no sparks flew at the table. Well, ma'am, the sparks didn't fly, but the core of who they are is
Right.
completely aligned with you. And maybe you don't need that feeling because the last five jokers you were with knocked you upside the head and you felt that spark with all of them.
Right.
This time it's the peace of the Lord that's coming to the room. And
Right.
so I mentioned that because I want to know from your perspective, do you feel like people are more focused on getting the one or becoming the one?
I think getting the one, right?
Mm,
Because that's the goal. That is all. We get everything else. We get the bag. We get, but we love getting booked and busy. We love, like all getting all the things, right? But we don't spend time in development. We don't spend time doing the hard work behind the scenes.
gotcha. And what's some of that hard work you feel like the folks should be doing in order to become that one?
I often say that healing is a painful process. Like nobody talks about the amount of pain that is involved in healing. And so being healed from all the things, from all the trauma, all the breakups, forgiving them, forgiving yourself for allowing those things to happen. Like, was it a couple years ago, I really had to go through a really deep forgiveness process of, from all the people that hurt me and the things that I allowed to happen because I didn't know who I was and I
Mm,
didn't know what I deserved.
yeah, I think that's so good.
And so that is, just some of the work, and allowing, God to love you and receive the love of God and who he made you to be. That's the hard part. And allowing people to love you.
Woo. Say more about that, about allowing people to love you.
Lord. Okay, so a lot of times I think we are always constantly striving for everything, striving for approval. But we never really take time to allow people to love us as we are, because we're always putting on. We're always, performing. Like for me, I'm gonna speak for me because I've dealt with perfection for many years. And so if I wasn't perfect in my mind, like I wasn't worth anything. And so I really had a really bad complex. I would overthink and all that stuff. But I didn't really allow people to love me. I sabotaged a lot of good friendships and relationships because I didn't think I was worth that. And I felt like I was missing something because I wasn't like them.
Mm.
And so now I'm in a place in my life where I can actually receive the love from people without mistaking that love for approval or affirmation.
I love that. I,
Genuinely accept their love for me.
I love that. And I think that what you said is so powerful about being able to receive that love,
Mhm.
recognizing when there's a block, because I think that goes back to even what LJ was saying when he was on about, hey, when something good comes, are you self sabotaging and pushing that away because you don't recognize, like, hey, this is what genuine love and care looks like. It's not here to beat you up, it's not here to make you defensive, it's not here to make you prove anything,
Right.
but that perfection of love. And perfection of love is not just in a romantic relationship. I feel like love for me was perfected in my friendships. And once I started to master real love and receiving care in my friendships, I believe that opened up my heart to receive better love that would come from a romantic relationship, because I started to see myself first differently and
Mhm.
to tend to my relationship first with God and then with those horizontally, which made me more open to receive love from a purpose mate. I don't like that term soulmate, but a purpose
Yeah.
purpose mate, somebody that could help me along on my journey.
Hmm.
I think that's so good. All right, I've got one more question for you before we get out of here. And I would love for you to come back because I feel like you and LJ have so much more to volley back and forth, and we just get warmed up. We
Yeah.
need another part. I want to ask you this question. How, let me see. What do you wish? Let me do this one.
Okay.
Tell me something you wish women would maybe stop doing in the name. You know what? Let me not ask this. I'm going to ask something else. I'm going to save that for when Lamont is here because I want to hear the male version of that. How do you handle attraction when you know someone isn't aligned with your values? Let me just
Mm.
put this out here while you think about it. I'm just going to admit something to y'all. Come a little closer. Curtis Jackson, also known as 50 Cent, is not aligned to my values. But baby, okay? Them first 2 years that he was out with that record, I was like, you know what? Method Man, power version of Method Man, not Wu-Tang Clan, okay? My friend Jamaica loved him from the beginning, but he's not aligned to Sis's values. But I really be like, oh, he has on a suit. I need him to be the lawyer that. So again, seriously, how do you handle action when you know someone isn't aligned to your values?
I think you have to put it in its proper place, right? Like, what does that look like? So before I go there, I'll say that my freshman year of college, like leave after high school, going into college, I met this guy. We went to the same high school, but he was like a year or two ahead of me. And so then I saw him again at church, and I was just like, hey, I'm graduated now, right? Like I'm not a kid. So we actually went out a couple times and loved him. But college was really when my eyes started opening. Like he was fine. Like he was black, white, and Puerto Rican. No, Portuguese. Fine. Like on my level, right? But I started to realize that he was not aligned with the values that I had, nor was he at the same rate that I was growing.
Mm.
And so that was honestly like very hard to come to terms with. But had to make the decision like for my relationship with the Lord, like I have to just, I can't take this any further. And I had to put more value on my relationship with the Lord than I did a potential relationship with him. So I had to just put that attraction in its proper place. But I also knew like the more I fed that attraction, the more that I was going to go in the direction that I didn't need to go in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just for me, I don't know. It's all about like what you feed.
Ooh.
You know, like what you feed will grow, and what you don't feed is gonna starve.
This
It's
is
hard.
It is hard. I'm sure, and I'm sure for men and women it is hard. We have eyes, we see all of the things, and God's creation is beautiful.
Said it was good.
It very good, you
Said it was
know.
good.
At the
Right,
gym, very good.
but like, right, cake is good. I love cake. I
Yes,
love sweets. Right, but if I eat too much of it, it's gonna kill me.
exactly, exactly.
It's gonna make
I,
me sick.
I love it. All right. Well, I want us to continue this dialogue. You all have been active, active. We definitely are going to bring back a part two so we can dive into this further. What I want to challenge everybody that's viewing, whether it's live or if you catch us on the replay, is I want you to think about how are you managing, if you're still in the dating world, chemistry versus compatibility. And I want you to reflect on what we talked about tonight. Are you out here dating based on what you know is compatible to not just yourself, but where you're going? And I want to challenge everybody. A lot of us are finding people that match where we are right now, but does that person have the ability to go with you into your future? And if you don't know what that future looks like, then you may be picking for your present but not the potential of where you're going. And I really want to admonish you, the only way you're going to know that, you may not know all the details, but Holy Spirit can give you insight into where you're going, because it's easy to have chemistry and get caught up with feelings only to look up one day and realize they were great for my needs in this moment, but they never had the capacity to carry me for where I actually was headed. And I don't want that to be any of our future. Or if you're currently in that, how do we course correct and get back in alignment? The other thing I want us to think about is, instead of just focusing on getting the one, how do we become the one that we need to be for ourselves? And with that, I want to give an ultra shout out to SOAR, Singles on the Rise. Andrea, do you want to tell them some more about SOAR and the SOAR tribe?
Absolutely. So, SOAR, Singles on a Rise, we are a community of singles who come together every month. We have monthly outings or monthly virtual meetings, but just to do life together. You know, like it's hard being single by yourself, trying to figure out what to do and doing it the right way. You know, there's one way to do it and there's another way to do it, but we strive to do it the right way, do it God's way, and doing it together. And so Soul Tribe is just a community of singles. If you need anything, you know, we got you. Resources, we got you. But listen, we love to eat, we love to get together. So if you are interested, definitely, you know, visit us, follow us on social media platforms, Facebook, TikTok, at Soar Tribe, and visit us online as well at thesoursummit.com. Yeah, and we would love to have you a part of our family. Love to have you a part of our family. So
Yes, and I'm going to put this out here.
Right.
Men, this is not just for the women. And I will tell you, it's not a bunch of women
Yeah.
sitting around just talking about finding a husband. It
Yeah.
really is a group of singles and it's co-ed, both male and female, that are designed to really talk about how do I excel in my singleness so that if someone comes along or if they don't, I'm still excelling within my singleness because
Mhm.
singleness is definitely a gift. Y'all hear me? It is a gift. I thought about 2 days ago, oh my gosh, I can't just run to the store anymore. I have to be accountable to someone. And like, so it's little things that I take for granted right now in my singleness. And it's not just because Paul wrote it. Your singleness, I've enjoyed being able to take a vacation whenever I want and not consider anybody else, or make moves and not consider anybody else. So your singleness is a gift, and we want you to help cultivate that. So become a part of the Sword Tribe.
Yeah.
Y'all,
There's
this
no
is good.
pressure. No pressure to find a wife, find a husband. There's no pressure at all.
Exactly, exactly. Learn to be and become. I hope that you all have enjoyed this quick bite. We're going to come back. If you want us to come back with a part two, drop a comment, drop a note. If you've got questions or thoughts, like I saw someone in the comment put something about the best way to get to know someone is by living together. Ooh, that is a very juicy topic. To
Yeah.
live together or not, shacking or not, and it's so funny. Some of the old folks that told us not to shack were the main one that was shacking up. It's very interesting to me. It's like taboo. They don't even have to talk about it. But I want to know in the comments what you all want us to talk about more with this conversation. And even outside of dating, Between Sundays again is a virtual space designed for us to talk about the real things because life gets loud after the sermon. And so we want you to be anchored from Sunday to Sunday in a space where you can keep it real and that we can also keep it righteous. We love you all. We cannot wait to see you all next Thursday back here, same time, same place. And we look forward to it. Andrea, thank you for being with us. And shout out to Lamont that was with us earlier. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.